My name is Daniel Baltazar. I've been investing in real estate for 3 years. I own 14 units, and I've never had a job that pays more than $35,000 a year. During that time, I've raised over $500,000 from private investors, and I'm going to show you my framework that you can use to get capital for your business. The B.O.S.S framework for raising private capital. Be trustworthy. Overcome beliefs. Structure your plan. Sell to investors. The origins of the B.O.S.S framework. I was washing dishes, listening to a real estate education podcast to pass the time, and secretly hoping for the missing piece of information or paradigm shift that comes once in a blue moon to grow me to the next stage of business. Tired from a long day at work, shirt soaking wet because even after 30 years of practice, I still never expect the spoon to have that reaction when I go to rinse it. Just then, the guest starts speaking about his private money partner, a man who had just sold a business and had more money than he can imagine, who wanted to continue to grow it, but he didn't really want to be the one to do it. After all, he just sold a business. If he wanted to work, he could have just kept it. It was at that moment that all of the thoughts from the last couple weeks came together like I was Jimmy Neutron from the old Nickelodeon show. My brain lit up, and all the separate pieces I've been wrestling with came together. I had already raised private money, and I hadn't even realized it. My mother had actually lent me some money for some earlier deals, and the reason she even had the money to begin with is because she's a hardworking woman who has mastered her craft, and maybe because she grew up in a different time period, didn't have the same access to information, or maybe she just isn't interested in investing and didn't care to learn. But that was the shift in my beliefs. If there's one person with extra cash who doesn't want to take the time to learn investing, then there must be more. And like the business leaders I admire, I saw an issue and I was determined to solve it. So I went to work on an investment presentation that was professional, easy to understand, and is a win for everyone involved. In the following presentation, I'm going to take you through the B.O.S.S framework I used to create my pitch, and finally walk you through the exact presentation I used to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. When this is through, you'll be able to ask yourself similar questions and begin to understand. You don't have a money problem. You only need trustworthiness, a better belief system, and an easy to understand map to pitch to investors. Be trustworthy. If you want to build a house, you start with a foundation. The first thing you have to do is be the kind of person that people would want to invest with. As I mentioned in the introduction, I've never had a job that pays more than $35,000 a year. With that being said, you cannot find a previous employer of mine that would have anything negative to say about the way that I work. It's important to understand that the money you are getting paid for a job is not the only way you're compensated for working. I know there's a lot of stigma from artists and creative types that say they're not willing to do a job and work for exposure, and it's true that it's okay to know your worth, and you must get paid in actual money to pay your bills. But there's a time in your career where you actually still need to learn and build up your skills and reputation, and to a degree, it's okay to do that. Also, your day job is an excellent place to demonstrate your positive attitude, willingness to work well with others, and problem-solving skills. All of these will be detrimental when you're under the pressure of doing your own thing. With schools costing more than ever, and most college grads working in fields that don't even require degrees, don't underestimate being paid to learn a new skill, even if it's at a low wage. Furthermore, your reputation is not only going to come from work, but also from how you present yourself in everyday life. Make sure you put some thought into your image, your brand, if you will. You never know who may be a potential investor, so you want to consider the image you give to the public. Are you at bars all the time getting in trouble with the police? Around social media showcasing reckless behavior? Are you always bragging about the latest thing that you bought, yet clearly behind on your bills? I'm not advocating that you can't drink or have to live the perfect life, but you must understand the world we live in today where everything you put out is on your permanent record. And if you want people to trust you with the big things, then it's important to cultivate a reputation of responsibility even with the small things. Take some time and ask the questions about your own life. It's okay to answer you get right now is not the one you would like. It's never too late to turn things around and start working towards a better future. Being the kind of person that people would want to invest with means being the kind of person that keeps their word. If you say you're going to do a job, then do it without complaining, and do it right the first time. If someone is going to trust you with a large sum of money, then it will be expected. Also, use everyday situations to show that you're willing to think to solve problems. Make sure not to have a "that's not my job" attitude. Owners don't get to say that or they go out of business, so you might as well practice while the stakes are low. I've been criticized by associates in the past for doing too much for my job, but you can't put a price on a good reputation. And finally, make sure to work on your money management skills. It only gets harder to keep track of as you get more of it. People are watching, and it can sometimes take many years for planted seeds to bear fruit, but once they do, they can sustain you for a lifetime. Overcome beliefs. Once you can truly look yourself in the mirror and say that you're the kind of person who is worthy to be trusted with such an awesome responsibility, you must then shed any limiting beliefs that you have about your ability to raise money and run a successful business with it. I spent a lifetime of cultivating a positive reputation, but I am not without my own brand of crazy. Just think, I have tattoos on my hands, neck, and face, and I can assure you that I have had thoughts in the back of my mind that I probably closed off some doors for myself. But we all make choices, and we need to move forward from where we are to create the future we want. So how do we do that? I've struggled with self-confidence my entire life. The best way I have found to overcome this problem is to go out into the world and start seeing what you're capable of. Have you ever seen the Jim Carrey movie, Yes Man? In that movie, Jim Carrey is stuck in a rut in his life and attends a motivational seminar and is told to just say yes to everything. After taking it literally, he ends up taking it too far and putting himself in absurd and dangerous situations before finally finding some peace at the end and living a more well-balanced life. Not the best description, but if you have some time, I suggest checking it out. I went through a very similar transformation as a young man. I was tired of being unskilled and unconfident, so I decided to get uncomfortable, and I just started saying yes when people asked me to do something I was afraid of. After a short season of that, I ended up saying yes to going on a tandem skydive, and that led to spending the next 10 years as a professional skydiver. During that journey, I developed greater self-discipline, greater attention to detail, and a deeper level of humility. If I never faced the world to find out what I'm truly capable of, then I wouldn't be able to carry myself with the demeanor of a man who knows himself. You don't have to follow my exact journey, but you know what you're hiding from in life, and you will never reach your greatest potential until you stop running away from your fears. Structure your plan. Now that you've demonstrated that you have the character traits of a trustworthy person and the can-do attitude to match, you can get down to your business plan. Let's say you wanted to go from New York to California to visit some relatives, and I wanted you to come with me. Well, first thing to point out, I know where I'm trying to get to and why I'm going there. That's going to help you make a decision much faster. So I take my destination, put it in the GPS, and now we have a route to get there. We don't have to follow this exact map. Along the way, we may see an attraction we want to visit, so we've changed the plan slightly here. Or we see a restaurant that's not on the East Coast, so we change the plan slightly there. We might even get a flat tire, so things take a little longer than expected. And that's okay, because in life, nothing ever goes exactly to plan. And we all know that. But I bet you would feel a lot better with that plan than if I asked you to go and we weren't going to bring cell phones or a spare tire. We were just going to wing it like some irresponsible teenagers. With that being said, business is not much different. You must know what problem you're going to solve, visiting a relative, how you're going to solve it, driving across the country, and finally, a general idea of how you're going to execute. In this case, Google Maps. To give you a practical example, I will use my real estate business. We're always going to work backwards from the thing we want to solve because that's going to give us clues on how to actually get there. I want to provide generational wealth to my family so we can buy back our time and work on bettering ourselves, which will in turn allow us to have a greater positive impact on our community. The destination. Real estate investing has had a proven track record for creating wealth, so I chose that as the vehicle to get to my destination. Finally, I need the map to get there. Just like there are many routes to go from New York to California, so too there are many routes to becoming a real estate millionaire. No big deal. This just takes a little bit of self-reflection, as well as trial and error. Remember, we said earlier, it's not uncommon to adjust your course. So I asked myself, what are my strengths? Between my brother and I, we have knowledge to repair anything in a house. We are also willing to make very little money to grow our company, so we have a large margin for error in our payroll budget. I'm a licensed realtor, so I have market analysis tools available to me, as well as greater flexibility to cut costs by saving realtor fees. I have a multiple exit strategy system for every project we take on, as well as proven track record of our system working, which is verifiable by our social media presence, well-kept financial reports, and before and after pictures of our past work. So with all my tools available, I designed a map working backwards from my destination. I decided that we would flip 7 houses per year, selling some and keeping some for rentals. I decided the amount of money it would take to sustain a business of that size. Payroll, interest payments, materials, expected profit margins. I looked from every angle I could think of to compensate for whatever risk possible. And finally, I looked at other investment vehicles I could find in order to be as competitive as possible in the marketplace. Once I had my well-articulated, easy-to-understand map drawn up, I took it to friends and family and asked them if they wanted to go on a journey with me. Sell to investors. Now that we know where we're going, the delivery of your idea is just as crucial. It's important to remember that this is not a charity. You're not asking people to do you a favor, and rather it's a business deal. If you execute correctly, your investors should leave the end of the transaction feeling like you did them a favor, and there are no other options that are even close to the service you provide. It's my goal when I get money from an investor to make them so much money that they want to shout it from the rooftops. When thinking of the investment presentation as a product for sale, you can think of yourself as a salesman. I've never been much of one myself, so I can only give you one tip on how to be good. Have a product so good that you can't help from sharing it with other people. Think back to when you were a kid, obsessed with Power Rangers or whatever it was for you. You have just stumbled upon the greatest thing, and the world has to know about it. In fact, you can't shut up about it if you wanted to. If you don't feel like that about your investment presentation, then you need to go back to the drawing board. Have enthusiasm and confidence in yourself, but never lie about any aspect of your presentation, and acknowledge there is risk in every investment. It is your job to mitigate those risks to the best of your ability, but you will never be able to remove all of them. As a general rule of thumb, proactive is much better than reactive, but it's still better than doing nothing at all. Once you find the help you're looking for, go out there and make it happen. Just never forget how you got the investors in the first place. If things are not going to plan, then be honest early and remember, everything is your fault and you have an obligation to make your investors whole again. Lastly, I'm going to take you through my pitch that I used to raise over $500,000. Slide 1. Introduction page with company logo. It's important to make it look professional. Selling yourself is an aspect of every business, so you want to show that you take this seriously. Slide 2. Table of contents. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly this way, but you want to create an image of professionalism. Slide 3. Introducing myself. Many of the first people you talk with will be friends and family, but as things grow, the idea will be to reach colder and colder audiences, so I really like the idea of grounding myself as a real person with things to lose on my end to establish my commitment to the goal. Slide 4. Here, I give examples of some hands-off investment options and their returns to ground my request to other real-world options. Slide 5. Establish what some other options might look like. Now, I let them know from a 30,000-foot view what I plan to give for returns, and what I plan to do with the money. Slide 6 and 7. Here, I go into further detail of the loans and the terms I would like. I'd also like to point out that everything is negotiable. This is just a starting place that I know for sure will work with my business. Slide 8. Here we break down how I'm actually going to get your money back to you in 10 months. Slide 9. Contingencies. This is a big one. You want the investors to know that you're thinking about the safe return of their capital and getting ahead of problems. It's not a matter of if, but when an issue arises, and how are you going to deal with it. Slide 10. Here I break down all of the competitive advantages I have in this field to increase my chances of success. This is where self-reflection comes into play. This specific plan will only work for me because I have a lifetime of unique skills I have acquired, but this is true for everyone, and you need to find the angle that increases your chances of success. Slide 11 and 12. Here I get into the specifics of my business plan. This is exactly what I intend to accomplish over the year and how your investment is going to fuel the business to get there. Slide 13. Here I break down exactly how much I need to get to my destination. Slide 14 through 18. Here I show some before and after pictures of previous projects as well as expenses and profits for each one. As you're building your business, it is important to try to do everything the right way from the very beginning. In order for me to have this, it means I have already been keeping my finances organized, and there is a high likelihood that that will continue. Slide 19. This sums up my past work and elaborates on how I intend to make things more efficient in the future. Slide 20. Breakdown of my current rental portfolio. This shows what I've already accomplished and what I'm already managing, so the investors feel good that I have a working system in place to handle not only Plan A, but if I have to go to contingencies, then the portfolio is built on a solid foundation and can handle it. Slide 21, an outro. Again, just trying to keep things looking professional. Slide 22, and this last slide, one last visual aid to show you that there's no better place to grow your hard-earned money than Baltazar Rentals. Here's a little bonus section for you. Give until you think it's too much, and then give some more. Make an offer they can't refuse. As one last piece of bonus content, I'd like to share with you my latest iteration of my offer. When Henry Ford created the first car, life changed for everyone. One big improvement, there was a lot less horse poop in the middle of the road. But just because he had a great idea, it doesn't mean that there weren't improvements to be made. In business, the one who makes the most money is the one who creates the most value. So if you want to get more money flowing into your business, then it is wise to make sure you are giving all you can. The first presentation I showed you helped me build a lot of trust with my investors and make some serious progress in my business. It was a return that I knew I could manage, and I got to learn so much about the process. However, as I was shopping it around to pick up more deals, more often than I would like, I found that there were people getting higher returns than I was able to offer. As you're unveiling your product to the world, it's important that you're paying attention to the feedback that you're getting. So after careful consideration, I created a premium investor package for an investment of $100,000. One out of every 4 houses I renovate will be done for the investor at cost for me to do the work. Once the property is renovated, I will act as property manager for the investor, and when they refinance the property with my preferred lending partner, the original money from the project goes back into the pool for me to continue using it for my business. Some of the key features of the investment program include: Baltazar Rentals finds the house for you. I act as your realtor and prepare a scope of work and propose a budget. Once the house is purchased, Baltazar Remodeling manages the project, and my team handles the remodel. After the home is remodeled, Baltazar Realty places the tenant in the house and handles all tenant interactions. This includes rent collection, maintenance requests, evictions. All expenses will be organized for you to send to your accountant at the end of the year, as well as receipts stored for you. As we get close to the 3-month mark of owning the property, I get you in touch with our preferred lender to get your capital back. The people that I'm targeting to be my private money partners are typically not already real estate investors, so I wanted to quickly outline some basic expectations about the partnership to ensure that they are left feeling like they're getting more than they expected and never underwhelmed by any point in the process. There's a fee for property management, but that will come out of the cash flow the properties makes. You don't have to use me as a property manager. You can do it yourself or hire another company. The property is yours to keep or sell anytime that fits your needs. Our interests stay aligned because I benefit from managing your property and you get a hands-off investment for your retirement. Also, if I'm doing a good job, it allows me the opportunity to be your realtor when you sell. When maintenance issues occur, I will handle getting them fixed, but you're responsible for the cost. The benefit to a recently remodeled home is that there should be less big issues for the first few years. When an eviction occurs, we will handle the process, but you will be responsible for the expenses. With the investment the size of $100,000, you can expect one house roughly every year. Every time I use your money for a new project, I will sign a new contract with you, so you'll never be more than 10 months away from pulling all your money out and going your own way. In this example, if you stayed invested in my company for 30 years, you will acquire over $4 million of real estate, as well as 1% interest accrued for every month that I am using your money for my projects. For this example, that is $1,000 a month. This is a baseline for your gain because I have not included appreciation, tax benefits, rent increases, and compound interest. I can take on 4 investors with this program, and although you're never more than 10 months away from getting your capital and walking away, I intend to exceed all expectations and keep clients for life. Once these 4 slots are filled, there may not be another hands-off investment opportunity with this kind of return. As you can see, with the second iteration, I got creative and found a way to do even more for my clients and created a situation with real value and real scarcity. By giving more and operating from a mind state of abundance, I was able to secure 3 clients at the $100,000 price point, using each of their capital on repeat every 3 months. I am currently on track to inject over $1 million working capital in my business in a 12-month period. To sum this all up, build trust. Before you ever ask for money, be the kind of person worthy of the responsibility. Overcome beliefs. You must believe you can accomplish great things, or no one else will. Structure your plan. Work backwards from your destination and build a map that someone who knows nothing about your field can understand. Sell to investors. Go out there and get your presentation in front of as many eyes as possible. This is Daniel Baltazar with Baltazar Rentals. You can learn more about what I'm doing at brrealestateenterprises.com. Baltazar Rentals 2025 year-end goal: have 5 full-time members, making a positive impact on the community, $1 million raised, and $10,000 donated to charities of the employees' choosing. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and build a legacy.